Hello everyone. Andarki namaskaram. Thanks for joining. This is my entry to the Codebasics resume project challenge number 7, and today we are going to discuss about the analysis conducted for Telangana. Thanks to the Telangana government for their open data policy through which all of us can access the government data, and thanks to Codebasics for organizing this challenge. Our agenda for this presentation is to talk about Telangana. Then we will discuss about the objectives. Then we will move on to discuss about the analysis that we have conducted, and finally the insights and recommendations. So let's begin. Telangana. It is the youngest state of India which was formed on 2nd of June 2014. It is one of the fastest growing states with significant economic development and ranks third in the gross state domestic product, that is GSDP. Its focus on infrastructure, IT, agriculture, education, healthcare, and pharmaceuticals has proven to be the driving force for the economic development. And as mentioned earlier, it is one of the Indian states with an open data policy. Our objective for this analysis was to analyze Telangana's growth among different sectors quantitatively and provide useful insights to the government that would help them to make data informed decisions. And for this, we explored three different departments, which are stamp registrations, transportation, and TS pass. We will look into these departments one by one. So let's begin with stamp registrations. So the first question here was, how does the revenue generated from document registration vary across districts, and list down the top 5 districts that showed highest document registration revenue growth between fiscal year 2019 and 2022. So after our analysis, we observed that districts like Rangareddy, Medchal Malkajgiri, Hyderabad and Sangareddy has generated the highest document registration revenue from fiscal year 2019 to 2022. And these 4 districts contributes around 78% of the overall document registration revenue out of all the 33 districts. However, if we talk about the high document registration revenue growth, then the top 5 districts are Mulugu, Adilabad, Karimnagar, Mancherial, and Medchal Malkajgiri. Moving on to the second question, which was to compare the revenue generated from document registration and e-stamps challan across districts, and also list down the top 5 districts where e-stamps revenue was contributed more than document registration revenue in fiscal year 2022. So after our analysis, we observed that e-stamps were implemented from December 2020. So the overall revenue is more from document registration than e-stamps. But for fiscal year 2022, revenue from e-stamp challans is more compared to document registration. So this indicates that people have adopted to the e-stamps positively. And to list down the top 5 districts whose e-stamps revenue contributed more were Rangareddy, Hyderabad, Khammam, Hanumakonda, and Yadadri Bhuvanagiri. Moving on to the next question, which is to find if there is any alteration of e-stamp challan count and document registration count, and is there any pattern in their alteration since the implementation of e-stamp challan, and if yes, then what would be the suggestions. So after our analysis, we observed that e-stamps were implemented from December 2020, and the count of e-stamps has shown continuous improvement uh, in comparison with the documents registered, and also the count of e-stamps is always more than the count of document registered. So which means there is still a scope of improvement in streamlining the process and reducing the turnaround time of completion of registration. So in order to improve this, we can improve the resources, infrastructure, and technology in sub-registrars offices where the registration gets completed. We can also train the staff working in the offices to carry out the process quickly and efficiently. We can also encourage people to register on time by creating awareness of the benefits of document registration. We can also provide subsidies to those who register within a given timeline, and we can also reduce, if we can try to reduce the stamp registration cost, as it can be a barrier for some people, and we can partner with agents working around the sub registrars offices to help people with who find the process to be a bit difficult. The next question is about categorizing the districts into three segments based on their stamp registration revenue generated during fiscal year 21 to 22. So here the districts whose revenue were above 10 billion were considered under high revenue segment. The districts whose revenue was between 1 billion and 10 billion was considered under moderate revenue, and the districts with revenue less than 1 billion were considered under low revenue segment. Now moving on to the transportation department. So here the first question was to investigate if there's any correlation between vehicle sales and specific months, and also identify the months which have shown consistent high or low sales rate. If yes, and what if yes, then what could be the driving factors? And here we were asked to consider the vehicle sales as per fuel type. So after our analysis, we observed that the total vehicles sold are above 6.6 million from fiscal year 2019 to 2022, and the months of October and June are the months with higher sales, and the months of April and May are the months with lowest sales. So the reason for high sales in June and October can be due to monsoon and festive offers that automobile companies offer to clear out their stock, or it can be due to the launch of new models during these months. And the reason for low sales in April and May can be due to weather conditions, holiday season, as well as customers might be looking forward for the monsoon offers to come in June. Moving on to the next question, uh, which talks about how does the distribution of vehicles vary by vehicle class across different districts, and are there any districts with a predominant preference for a specific vehicle class. And we were asked to consider fiscal year 2022 for the analysis, uh, from which we got to know that the highly preferred vehicles across all the districts are motorcycles, which are contributing 74% to the sales, followed by motor cars, which are contributing 21%, and auto rickshaws and agriculture together are contributing 5% to the overall vehicle sales. And the districts such as Hyderabad, Rangareddy, and Medchal Malkajgiri have dominating preference for motorcycles and motor cars. Hyderabad, Sangareddy, and Khammam have dominating preference for auto rickshaws, and Nalgonda, Siddipet, Suryapet, and Khammam have dominating preference for agricultural vehicles, as these are also the agricultural heavy districts of Telangana. Moving on to the next question, which is to list down the top three and bottom three districts that have shown highest and lowest vehicle sales growth during fiscal year 2022 compared to fiscal year 2021. So the top three districts are Rangareddy, Karimnagar, Hyderabad, and the bottom three districts are Warangal, Jagtial, and Nirmal. Moving on to the next question. Uh, Moving on to the next department, that is TS IPAS. The first question here was to list down the top five sectors that had witnessed the most significant investments in fiscal year 2022. So, as per our analysis, we observed that in FY 2022, the investments were made in total 19 sectors, out of which the top 5 are plastic and rubber, pharmaceuticals and chemicals, real estate, industrial parks and IT buildings, solar and other renewable energy, and engineering. Out of the total investments made, that is 25.76 thousand crore rupees, 55% out of this total investments were made in these five sectors. Moving on to the next question, which is list down the top three districts that have attracted the most significant sector investments during fiscal year 2019 to 2022, and what factors could have led to the substantial investments in these particular districts. So here we observed that the top three districts are Rangareddy, Sangareddy, and Medchal Malkajgiri. And these top districts have about 66% of the overall of the total investments. And the factors that could have led to these investments might be proximity to the capital of the state, that is Hyderabad, which is a major center for technology industry. Majority of the investments in Rangareddy district are for the real estate, industrial parks, and IT building sector, which showcases the district's demand for infrastructure development to serve the public and private sector's working population. The investments in Sangareddy and Medchal Malkajgiri districts are majorly in pharmaceuticals, chemicals, plastic and rubber sectors, which promotes the commercial development for establishing manufacturing units of these industries in these districts. And also the major credit goes to the TS IPAS system by the government, which has helped for the speedy processing and hassle-free environment for businesses to set up their units. Moving on to the next question, that is there any relationship between district investments, vehicle sales, and stamps revenue within the same district between fiscal year 21 and 22? So, here we observed that there is a positive correlation between stamps revenue and vehicle sales for fiscal year 21 and 22. And Hyderabad is the only district where the investment is less compared to other districts, but stamp revenue and vehicle sales are high. And Rangareddy, Medchal Malkajgiri, and Sangareddy comes under the top districts with high investments, high stamp revenue, and high vehicle sales. Moving on to the next question, are there any particular sectors that have shown substantial investment in multiple districts between fiscal year 21 and 22? So yes, we found that pharmaceuticals and chemicals, plastic and rubber are the sectors with substantial investments of around 8 to 9,000 crores in almost 25 districts. And real estate, industrial parks and IT building sector ranks third in investments with only 4 districts. And the sectors like engineering and food processing have investment in almost all the 33 districts. Sorry. Moving on to the next, that is, can we identify any seasonal patterns or cyclicality in the investment trends for specific sectors? Do certain sectors experience higher investments during particular months? So we analyzed different sectors, and we observed that there is no specific seasonal pattern or cyclicality in these in investment trends, and all sectors had investments, high investments in particular month or months of a fiscal year. For example, if we look at real estate, industrial parks and IT building sector, rupees 18,000 crores were invested in February 2020. For plastic and rubber sector, high investments were made in August, December and January of fiscal year 2022. For automobile sector, rupees 13,000 crores were invested in January 2023. For paper and printing sector, high investments were made in November 2019 and July 2022. For textile sector, 650 and 550 crores were invested in September 2019 and September 2020. And for pharmaceuticals and chemicals, there's a slight pattern observed where high investments are made during months like February, July, September, and December. Moving on to the next question, moving on to the secondary research now, which are what are the top 5 districts to buy commercial properties in Telangana, and justify your answer. So after our analysis of stamp registrations, transportation, and vehicle sales, we have came to a conclusion that the top 5 districts for buying commercial properties are Hyderabad, Rangareddy, Medchal Malkajgiri, Sangareddy, and Yadadri Bhuvanagiri. Also, I feel investing in a commercial property completely depends on the needs of the investor, and I have mainly focused on the industrial development of districts and suggested accordingly. So Hyderabad, because it is the capital of Telangana, it has a robust economy, vibrant business environment, progressive policies, developed infrastructure, and a presence of IT and tech hubs. So it is one of the districts with high vehicle sales and registrations revenue. Rangareddy and Medchal Malkajgiri, because of their close proximity to Hyderabad, they have received high investments in real estate, industrial parks, and pharmaceutical sector. Top districts with stamp registrations revenue and vehicle sales growth as well. And the land availability here has contributed to meet the requirements of growing economic development and industries in and around Hyderabad. And Sangareddy and Yadadri Bhuvanagiri also have major investments in pharmaceutical and chemical sectors, along with being major contributors in employment and stamp registrations revenue, which confirms that they are the potential districts with industrial and commercial development of for industrial and commercial development. Moving on to the next question, talking about the policies or initiatives that were put into effect by the current government to enhance its growth, investments, and employment. And so, from out of the multiple policies and initiatives that were put into effect by the current Telangana government, I have listed down a few, which are the Telangana electric vehicles and energy storage policy. So, after the launch of this policy in 2020, the sales of electric vehicles has shown 10x growth, 10 times growth till fiscal year 2022, and brought high investments in the renewable sector as well. The next is TSI Pass, that is the Telangana State Industrial Project Approval and Self Certification System. So, as per our data and the research I have done, Telangana has gained over rupees 1 lakh crores in investment and has impacted significantly to the industrial growth, employment, business environment, and economic development of the state. Because this policy has streamlined the process and created an hassle-free environment for the businesses to set up their units. The next is T Hub. If you Google about the number one incubator, world's number one or world's largest incubator, you will get to you will be popped up with T Hub, which has promoted entrepreneurship, innovation in the startup ecosystem, and is making Hyderabad a new startup hub. And startups under T Hub have raised fundings over rupees 1800 plus crores, which is a major milestone and a great achievement for the state. And not only in the industrial sectors, but the current government has uh, implemented policies and started initiatives for agricultural sector as well. The number one policy in that is the Ritu Bandhu policy. This policy has boosted the agricultural productivity and farmers income by 10%, which ultimately contributed to the economic growth of the state. The next and final part of our presentation is insights and recommendations. So the first insight I have is that is about the e-stamps being greater than documents registered. That is, what I mean is, as per the data, the revenue generated from e-stamps and document registration has boosted the economic growth of the state. And in FY 2021 and 2022, e-stamp challans were more than document registrations. This indicates that many people fail to complete the final registration even after paying the stamp duty online. So to generate to improve this process and to improve indirect to improve income through completion of document registration, my recommendation here would be to educate about the benefits of the document registration, and we can provide incentives for a given timeline, and also we can train the staff working in the sub registrar's office to efficiently complete the process. Insight number two is about the top districts contributing in overall revenue growth. So, be it stamp registration, vehicle sales, investments, or employment, Rangareddy, Medjal Malkajgiri, and Sangareddy are the top districts contributing significantly to the overall development of the state. One of the reasons for their development is the proximity to Hyderabad. So to keep improving and continuing this progress, my recommendations would be to continue to develop the infrastructure of these districts. We can promote and invest more in research and development, and we can continue to provide mentorship to startups and SMEs, that is small medium enterprises, and we can focus on improving public services so that it can enhance the public lifestyle in these districts. Insight 3, that is growth potential in developing districts. As we have looked at the top districts, we also have observed that certain districts have the potential to grow where they have shown the year over year document registration growth is high for them, which showcases that they have the scope of economic development and participation in the state's revenue. So the recommendation would be to develop the infrastructure in these districts, encourage industrial investments. We can focus on skill development and education, and we can also identify the strong sectors in these districts to provide overall development for overall support for development. Insight number 4, which is growth in electric vehicle sales. So as per our data, we observed that in FY 2022, among various fuel type vehicles, electric vehicles have shown a significant growth of over 100% in its sales compared to fiscal year 2021. So one of the reasons for this growth is due to the Telangana's electric vehicles and energy storage policy. So this has helped to promote development of EVs as well as creating awareness among consumers about its benefits and also the environmental impact that electric vehicles has. However, the sales of petrol and diesel vehicles are still high compared to electric vehicles and other fuel type vehicles. So there's a need to promote EVs more in order to improve its sales. So the recommendation here would be to invest in research and development for improved EV technologies such as batteries and motors. We can expand the availability of EVs to wider range of customers and markets, and we can keep improving the charging infrastructure by building good charging stations and with a good service, and collaborate with businesses for marketing of uh, electric vehicles. So the final insight would be about the booming sectors. So after the top sectors like real estate, industrial and IT parks, pharma chemicals, plastic rubber, there are certain sectors booming in investments as well as employment, which are engineering, food processing, research and development, and few are a bit slow in employment, which are solar and other renewable energy, organic fertilizers, pesticides, etc. So investment in these sectors can be improved, and certain required measures can be taken to improve the employment in these sectors, which will help to promote the overall growth of these sectors and ultimately the overall development of the state. So the recommendations here would be to invest in education and training programs to develop the skills needed in these sectors. We can collaborate with businesses to develop apprenticeship programs and other on the job training programs and opportunities to, and we can also promote research and development centers with the educational institutions or companies who are interested in in promoting and developing these sectors. So with that, I conclude my presentation, and I want to thank all our beloved stakeholders from Telangana government, Open Data Telangana, and Team Codebasics. I thank you so much for and a special thanks to all of you for hearing me out. Please provide your feedback and suggestions in the comments below. I thank you so much again. See you.